Hey!
Hey.
Let me log in. Oh, yeah, hold on. I gotta. That's right. We're doing this.
Get your shades on. Hey.
I got the shades
on.
on.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dude Sweet.
This is Dude Sweet. Damn, that peaked on the sexy new microphone. Ooh.
There it is.
Ooh, so
He's got some new gear.
Ooh, so pretty. Yeah.
Listen, if you're listening to the podcast right now, my name is Ian Douglas Terry.
And my name is Brian Keith Nelson, aka Blaxican Thunder.
That's right.
And
That's right. And also, if you're
the Dude Sweet podcast,
you're listening to Dude Sweet, and if you're listening, you're missing out because this is going to be on YouTube.
That's right.
With special bonus content. We're
visuals.
both wearing sunglasses.
Oh, yeah, visuals inside.
We got sunglasses on indoors.
That's right, and a candle behind me.
So you should check out our YouTube page for
and a dimly lit room. It's not even bright in here.
Yeah,
I just
but there's going to be other exclusive things up there eventually. But right now, sunglasses.
Why?
But yeah, welcome to the podcast.
To timestamp it, I guess we wearing glasses because guess what? The trailer for Matrix 4 just came out.
Yep. This is a Matrix. We're in the Matrix.
Inspired by.
And also summer's over. So it's the death of summer.
Winter is coming.
That's true.
Winter is
I'm excited. I love hoodie weather, so I'm fired up.
Just hope this year doesn't end like the fucking last season of GOT. Listen,
gonna come back like
Please
a zombie lord.
Stop. We're not even joking with that name. I'm bleeping that from the podcast. We're not even joking with that from here.
So for fans that have listened to every episode, you're gonna
thank you.
You're gonna bleep out.
Hey, they're not gonna hear these names.
And that's mostly for me. So when I listen to it later, I can hear them bleeped out. It's gonna make me laugh.
It's an inside joke. Everyone else has to force to be or you're not forced to be listened to. If you listen, thank you. We still don't have a structure to this thing.
No. Eventually we will. I think eventually I'm just gonna hire a little fella to keep us on track.
Or gal. Qualified person.
But listen, gals can be little fellas too.
I mean, hey, some of them do like to be called daddy. Not my thing, but you know what? Do you, goo? Do you, boo?
This podcast is going to be very gender specific. This episode. Well, listen.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Actually, no. Because there's another side that if I have to solo it, I will. Another conversation that comes from the other side too. But we'll get into that. We'll get into it. So we kind of do have a topic. So here's what I did. You know, I can't resist Instagram ads. I can't at all.
Whatever pops up, I'm gonna do it. Whether it's some weird new like when I got the Harambe flavored energy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I love me a good Instagram deal. And the new one going around is about testing your testosterone levels. Okay. You can do it at home.
Hey.
And this company's like $40. We'll send you a thing. And I was like, hey, I remember specifically, I had just woken up, did the very toxic thing where you look at your phone right away. Shouldn't do that when you first wake up.
No, you definitely shouldn't.
You should stretch. You should meditate. You should think about your day. You should make your bed. You should have a little, take all your pills and all your drinks and your potions. Don't look at your phone, but I did that day.
Yeah.
And most days. But, so I did. And there's an ad for this testosterone thing. I was like, I've always kind of been curious about that.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like I do have low testosterone just because of
certain
my
things
energy
that go on with the body.
Yeah. And like my sex drive, that's always been a thing. I used to be horny as hell. Now it's like starting an old car.
Depression's a bitch. An old car.
Like starting an old car where you're like, oh, you gotta jiggle this a little bit. You gotta turn that. You gotta.
It's one of the ones where you stop and you get out and you're like, when's the last time I started this motherfucker? God.
Yeah. It's like getting me going God bless anyone that's tried. It's difficult. You got to really bear with me.
It's also a mental thing too. It can be difficult. Yeah. It can be.
Oh, dude, that's why I love dick pills. It's the best thing in the world.
Hey, we promote healthy. So if it's even promoting a healthy sex life, again, we sex posi. Do what you got.
And if you're a strong boy or a low testosterone boy like me, take some little something to give you that thing, so then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to have sexual anxiety. It's great.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyways,
it's true.
So I get the kit, get it all laid out. You prick your finger, you squeeze out your blood onto these little things.
Oh yeah.
So send that off. Then I get the thing like, your results are ready. We're gonna have you talk to the doctor.
Okay.
And but then when I looked at the results, it gives you numbers.
Yeah.
My testosterone, I believe I think it's supposed to be around 600-700.
Oh, really?
That's if you're a horny boy.
Yeah.
Mine was 311.
Yeah.
And I laughed so long. I put it on every social media because I thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
It's great.
Not a lot of people interacted with it because I think they're like, you shouldn't share your testosterone results on the internet.
Hey, fuck it. I do what I must. Okay. Y'all, you're not the ones who understand.
Yeah. Plus, I'm wearing sunglasses inside. Whatever.
Fuck it. Whatever.
But, and like when I did my own research, because they sent me like all the numbers, and also I might have some liver stuff going on, but they didn't really talk about that because they're basically just trying to sell me testosterone injections.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, you can do that now. They'll just straight up send you testosterone in the mail and you inject that shit.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm not going to do any of that because then my estrogen levels are kind of high and I'm like, maybe that's why I'm good at empathy. Is that sexist for me to say that? I don't think so. I'm basing it on a chemical.
On history. I don't know. There might be something to that. I'm not medically clear to say that. But hey, I mean, there could be.
We should establish that neither of us are experts, if you couldn't tell by now.
All right, hold on. I'm going to take this off so everyone knows we're serious. Look, the Dude Sweet podcast is just two dudes trying to help the world be better, sweeter dudes with our opinions of what we think make us decent, good people. Some of our thoughts, we try to be fairly progressive, whatever, all this stuff. We are open, honest about our mistakes and everything. We're not we're not mental health professionals. I'm definitely not nobody's therapist. I'll tell you that, right? I mean, anyone can unload on me, but I'm not a licensed therapist. Like, this is like, hey, you unload on your friend, and it's like, I can give you some advice, do with it what you will, type of shit. But we are not professionals. So put nothing on us. Okay? Everybody got to make up their minds for themselves. I'm just making it. I'm good? ¿Entiendes?
Yeah. I like when you're purposely acting for the YouTube. So if you're just listening to this, he did some acting that you could see if you went and watched on YouTube.
But the thing of being an actor is I also gave voice. So I gave personality to the voice so you could understand what's happening.
That's important.
And I have to forget that this microphone quality is so much better. So I don't have to be like right up on it to have decent quality.
Yeah.
I could be like here. And it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. And again, investing in the things that you want to do. If I'm going to start doing audio
That's
dramas
important.
and stuff, I need good sounding equipment. So...
So here's what I started thinking about.
Yeah.
When it came to testosterone. For me, it's just, I think I'm 40 years old. Mm-hmm. I want to have more energy.
Yeah.
I want to like feel like I was when I was younger, but it's also like, do I want to feel like that?
Do I really? Do I really want to deal with some of those hormones I was dealing with when I was younger? Yeah.
Do I want to inject testosterone just to be horny all the time? I don't think I need to be. I think me being less horny is my gift to the world. Like,
yeah, it's the sacrifice that you're willing to make at a certain point.
Because I never made a single good decision horny.
No. We've been honest here. We have not. No.
Yep.
I'm sure I shared something at some point. I'm not saying anything else, but yeah, it's...
Yeah, we're human.
Everyone's human. We're allowed to do it.
And I think everyone listening to this right now can all understand what it's like to be horny.
We're all
because they're
adults
listening
here.
to this podcast.
Hey, we also never said... I also never said Dude Sweet was like kid friendly. All right. So like every time this shit comes out, I put explicit in that shit.
Yep.
So I've done my due diligence.
So then it got me thinking about masculinity. And that's something we've never really talked about. We have this podcast. I feel like
we've briefly touched, but we've always one of those ones where like, we'll get into that later. I feel like. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's like, and I think just because we've been bludgeoned over the head with the toxic masculinity thing, which is a real thing, but also way too overhyped.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
There's dudes and then there's bro dudes, and it's a whole different world.
No, we're gonna be fair, because it's not even dudes who do it too. Women do it. Yeah, because women will say shit like, "Oh, if you don't do this, you're less of a man. You don't think this way. You don't do that." A scam I see, and I'm just gonna see because I've seen it, where it's like, if you don't provide for me everything that I need, and me just do whatever I want to do, and you provide for me simply because you're the man, then you're not a real man, and blah 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 blah, all this shit, you ain't shit, blah blah blah, all the same shit. It's abuse regardless of, it doesn't, like, abuse, mental, emotional, any of that abuse is not just gender specific. It can be done either way. So and it's also like also by the other side.
There's also like culturally.
Oh yeah,
culturally.
There's cultural.
Yeah. That I'm not even high, but that threw me off. From like culturally.
There's
culture.
Yeah, there's also cultural differences.
I can't say that. See, I can't pronounce that word because white people have no culture. Hey,
it's just the way it's said. You guys just can't do. It's a lot of mouth movement
and stealing other people's shit.
It's true, because I've seen how some of you guys smile, and it's just simply
white people have giant teeth.
They just go from this to. Cheeks just like rise a little bit. I'm like, did you just put air in your cheeks? Benefits of watching the podcast. I'm not gonna make you watch it, but I did a white person smile.
There you go. There you go.
No offense to anybody. I love everyone.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read this. This is the definition of masculinity.
Okay, let's go.
Qualities or attributes regarded as characteristic of men. And I think that's kind of where.
See, the issue is because it's pretty vague.
Yes.
And to me, it's just like definitions of certain things. There are some things where you're like, yeah, that definition pretty much makes sense. But some things that are more so not materialistic, but more so that we have put in power, because words have power. So once we start saying something is something, say it long enough is going to become that, because people will get either tired of fighting it or don't have the information or knowledge back then to dispute it. Now it's a whole different story. Whatever, it's good, and it's whatever. Things have to go good or bad. You just have to take it with what it is. But I fucking hate that I lost what I was just saying. That's gonna be cut out. The definition of it, it's just vague, because who defines what being a man is at this point now?
Yeah,
like it's something,
and
it's
also evolved.
Oh, definitely, because it's not.
I feel like in the 50s, a man was different than what a man is now.
Definitely. Well, a
woman is different than what a woman is now.
Absolutely.
And a non-gender specific person is different than it is now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of those things have changed and evolved, rightfully so, as they should have. That's progress. That's how you do. That's how I think you become more civilized. Like, there have been a lot of other cultures other than just American, mostly white American culture. Western culture, whatever has you. I make some words and shit up, I don't care. That's everything that we know, but there's a bunch of different cultures all around the world, internationally, where it's just, there are a lot of different things, like, people make this big uprise about transgender people or the LGBTQ when everything is issue, and this is some new revolutionary thing, because you have people who just don't look back that, like, this has actually been an issue in American history for a long time. And then if you actually look back, like, there are different cultures who have different names for different people. Like in certain native cultures, like someone who was transgendered before it was transgendered were called like a two-spirit, because they were two spirits lived in a person. Like, and that's just who you are. You are who you're born with. They weren't trying to put labels on you. They weren't trying to put you into the definitions of something. They were just like, this is who you are as a person. It's more about the character of the person as opposed to what the person's personal preferences are, as opposed to the, like, the valor or whatever of the person. Like, are they a good, decent person? Are they a piece of shit? Like, what is it? So it more so of that, which I think it should be, but now everyone is so blindly on the side of, yeah, let me pick a team and that team's either right or wrong. And that's where it stands too. Like, a lot of that is just stubbornness with it. So yeah, a lot of it, masculinity has changed. Femininity has definitely changed. It's not just man and woman anymore. Like, it's how I always thought it should be, because I was raised equally by both, and I've seen both of them go through it. To me, everyone's toe to toe. That's what it is. Everyone's treated equally.
Yeah,
like that's how it should be.
So here's like another definition that I think is a little more where it's not as just black and white and boring.
Okay. Good. It gets interesting. All right. I don't have to make up talking points for a vague ass definition. Sweet.
So masculinity, traits traditionally viewed as masculine in Western society, including strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. Machismo is a form of masculinity that emphasizes power and is often associated with a disregard for consequences and responsibility. I feel like that's like my view of masculinity, and I think a lot of people's baseline is their father, like their father figure.
Yeah.
Like their father figure kind of sets that tone for what are the like mores. That's a more, but that's where you get your baseline when you're a child.
Yeah,
and that's the same with femininity as well. But like as far as like masculinity, like when I think of it, it's like my dad, like the things he taught me, the things he presented, like kind of the way he moved in the world, was like my baseline for masculinity. And then I think when I got into like punk rock, there was a lot of that was challenging how masculinity was from older times, where it was very much like, I'm a leader, I'm the boss, like I'm powerful. Everyone like that weird that I think led to toxic masculinity was holding on to the old and not evolving.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny you say like the whole leadership thing, because it always throws me off, where like a woman's not lead to fit this, a woman's not lead to fit that, a woman can't have a job telling other people what to do because emotions might get in the way, whatever, blah 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 blah. But for the longest time, men themselves have been saying, oh, the woman is the boss of the house. All money goes through the wife, like all this, for the most, like saying, oh, I gotta go ask the wife, I gotta go ask all this whole stuff. And it's just like, okay, so now I'm confused. Because you're saying they can't have leadership roles. You're really saying that. But then you're giving them leadership roles that prove, hey, even if, let's just go with stereotypical, this is very generic, this is very broad, whatever, but let's just go with the stereotype. Let's go with the generic stereotype we've all seen. If you're literally just the husband who goes to work, comes home, pays the bills to take care of stuff, and you're just like very that cut dry person, not really much beyond, you do your own stuff, you have your own shit like that, but you're not super like family man with it, and you basically are just like, here, I make all the money, you stay home, you take care of the house, you take care of the kids, you take care of everything. I don't want to do shit because I'm giving you all this money to just basically you take care of my home for me. They have led your life now. They have pretty much organized your life. They have raised your kids all just because you provided financials for it. But you're saying that they can't do that shit for like the country? I'm not saying that they can't do it because they may go crazy. Because obviously, as you see, grown men have thrown tantrums and shut the government down for like weeks to months, denying people their living and their payments, all because they don't want to be told no, or because they were told no and they threw a fit. I'm sorry. Where I've come from, I've known women who will throw hands with men if they get out of line, and not like, oh, you better get away from me, push. No, they will. They will throw fists. Like, they know how to fight. And I think
that's
an
one
unfortunate
of the
thing that's like the world, but that's a reality of certain people. It's like, if I have to, I will.
Because we can both agree on this, absolutely, is that some of the most, because you say like the bias is that women are too emotional to lead. Some of the most emotional, ridiculous, out of control people I've ever seen were old white men.
Think about this. Men do terrible things to women because they are fucking rejected.
Yeah.
Are you too emotional? Excuse me? Not you? Oh, not you, little mister. Oh, my ego's hurt. So now I have to go Jack the Ripper stab up some people. Like, no, it's bull.
Yeah, because that's where you're getting into like the toxic masculinity. It's like this whole weird.
Yeah,
it's very bizarre because it's basically saying, especially with that rejection, like what is that? Incels, all of that kind of stuff.
It's funny you were saying that. I was literally just thinking about making an incel point, because
it's like they're saying, well, women have all this power over me, and it's not fair.
Yeah,
and it's like. You give things power in your life. You give
people power in your life, and you give people power in your life. The most thing I see it come from, and this may just be for me, it's insecurity. It's because you don't know how to stand on your own, regardless of what situation you're not comfortable with being yourself in front of. If you're cool being yourself in just like a small group of somebody, but then when you go out, you can't really be yourself. That's okay, but that's an insecurity. You have to understand that. Some people are like not acknowledging that, oh, I like internally I feel this way, but I can never express it, so it's everyone else's fault. No, that's something you have to deal with. Hey, sometimes we can lean on each other, grab a shoulder, hey, guy, like help me get through life, cool. But you have to, and I preach this a lot, you have to be good with yourself. You have to be good independently. And it doesn't matter if you want to be always surrounded by people. The better you are by yourself, the easier things are, because you're not sitting there now wondering, how do I actually fit in with all of these people? How do I know who I am without these other people? Because life may take other people other places, and you're not surrounded by the same people. So then you might lose your identity. You have to know and be comfortable with who you are, who you stand on, which should be a decent person. That is not negotiable. Just be a decent person.
And so, like, I think the root of a lot of that is society. There's parts of society that still cling to that old mentality. There's parts of society that still cling to like this very black and white of masculinity, feminine, and not understanding that there's gray. Yeah. There's a whole spectrum. There's all of this. But like, yeah, dude, like
the issue
you made a point earlier that is one of the things I think is super funny is men who are married to women. This is very, maybe women who marry women and men who marry men do this, but I see it.
Yeah.
Where it's like how much they hate their wife. They're like, oh, I hate my wife.
I've always, and see, that to me always was the weirdest thing, because I was like, all right, then if everyone's unhappy in a relationship, why the fuck do you do relationships? Like it just doesn't make sense to me, especially as someone who was like, I don't really want kids. I don't really want to like just do the whole house shit. Like I'm living through it now, and I'm like, yeah, I know I don't want this. And as I got older, I was like, yeah, people were right. I was pretty mature for myself. I know myself pretty well to know I didn't want this shit at the age. And as I just get older, I continue to grow. But there's just like, some stuff I'm not.
Really and it's, I feel like they're almost, maybe they are unhappy, but I think they're also just doing it because that's what's presented in movies and stuff and TV shows.
It's an
like,
act. It's an act.
Like, oh, I need my man cave and I need my time to hang out. And it's like they just go for it. And they're like, sure, that makes sense.
They're doing what they think they should be doing. And that was something to me that just having the benefit of being able to look at things a certain way because of being exposed to like certain things at an early age that not everyone gets the opportunity to. I was able to have my mind open to more ideas, different ways of thinking. So I'm not a traditional person in any sense, especially if we get into what it is, like my skin tone, racially, Black, Mexican, Native American. Yeah, I'm pretty far the fuck out there from what I should be doing. However, it's great because I'm not alone. Like, millennial. It was even before millennials. Fuck all that. Jimi Hendrix, man. Like, even before Prince. That, way back then. Like, come on, how long has he been doing that? The only thing now is, and it's so good to see. It is so good to see because it's only a matter of time, and it's still a battle that's going to happen with those who actually have power because they have a lot of it. But if tide ever switches and influence starts to mean a lot more and people can grasp how much power that they actually have, the people in our like generation and the generations coming up behind it, there's so much stuff where they're like, yes, they do have to grow because this cancel culture stuff, a lot of it, the way that you approach it is very hypocritical, and it just comes off as bullshit as opposed to actually trying to do the right thing and just being like, oh, well, now you have to do. The world is very gray. There's no black or white. However, there are things where you're like, morally, that's bad, and it shouldn't really be happening that way. And we have a lot of people who are behind us who are progressive, who now have the means to get this influence to be more influential. Like, yeah, cool. Back in the 70s or the late 60s when you were having the whole, I don't know if it's summer, but whatever that era of love was known as. When you had
the
all
summer
of this,
of love, baby.
But yeah, and then you have everyone just trying to free and expand your way of thinking and all that. That's been going on since then. But you can easily just not record it and nobody would know what would happen. You could not report it. Nobody would know it would even happen. Like how many protests or whatever have happened. If newspapers didn't cover or anything like that, you never heard of it. You're like, I didn't see a disturbance and I like live 5 miles from there. Yeah, back in the day, you can go 50 miles and start a whole family. But now it's almost undeniable. Like everyone's out there. So now you're seeing, hey, no, this is wrong. We don't agree with this. And now, especially like if it comes to, say, like the culture of, even if we go with just culture of hip hop music, whatever, people of color, artists doing all this shit. Now it's just like, no, we have all this. We have this fan base and there's more recognition and everything behind it. So they're starting to balance that out too. And so these generations behind us, a lot of them are leaving that masculine, feminine shit to the side. They're right in the middle. They're right in the middle. They're dressing as flamboyant as they want to. And if that's what they so choose, they're getting more of whoever they choose than you. Men, women, in between. It doesn't, if you don't identify, it doesn't matter. Like they're just, and they're very accepting of it. And it's great to see that it grows even more.
Like to that point too, so it's you can the other side of that is people then galvanize against that by being like they're trying to replace men, they're trying to the soy, like it's such a dumb thing. And it's like the bottom line is things are going to change no matter what, things are going to evolve no matter what. Nothing, like we're alive for 90 years. There's gonna be like lucky. Constant change. Constant. And it's these people that get so upset, the guys who like, a woman rejected me, like all this, the mindsets and like it goes into everything, is like refusing to understand like, oh, shit's gonna change, nothing's gonna be like it was in the 60s. It's so foolish. And it's foolish to think things are going to be the same as like the way I like things. Yeah,
things got to change, and that's what I was saying, good or bad.
And it's like it's interesting too, because that like masculinity has evolved, it's changed. It's like, I feel like if I were to like, what do I define as masculine? To me, it's like protecting. But I feel like that's also, there's feminine and masculine energy in protecting. And it's not like a put up your dukes protecting.
Whereas
it's
we would say we're more protective, as women are just naturally more nurturing. And that's not really a sexist thing to say, because they mean the same thing, but there is that definition where it is just, and it's something that just genetically, that's just kind of what it is. Since we're putting it into the definition of words that we choose to anyway. Men are just more protective, women are more nurturing, but it's just the approach of it is what's different. It's not that a mother won't protect her child. A mom will kill you. She'll slit your throat. She don't care if it means protecting her child. If she knows she can get her kid to safety, she will easily sacrifice herself to protect her kid. So but men, when they're protecting too, they're like, let me take you under my wing to show you how you're going to survive after I'm gone, or when you get to a point where you're no longer with me. Both women still do that, and they still do the same. It's just how we've all put it together. But it's been proven, because how we approach it is just how we approach it.
And I feel like, so my version of masculinity is also like, has feminine energy. It has both feminine and masculine, and same, like, because it's a thing that any person can like have within them. It's not just like, this is the boys, here's the boys with their big old balls, here they come. Like it's like,
oh man,
because there's times where I feel like I have a more feminine energy, and there's times where it's it's very fascinating. That's why I think it's so interesting. And like,
it's how we approach it, I think, what it is. Because like, just for me on that, it's like, I never really had issue like being exposed to just different lifestyles of how anyone identified, or sexual preference or anything like that, because I myself, being multiracial, hated having to be labeled. Don't call me black. Don't just call me Mexican. Well, I mean, that was most of it. The Native American shit really, but people would be like, "You're Native." But it's like, don't put me in these labels. When one person's like, "Oh, if a fight broke out, which side would you choose?" Fuck it, I don't know. I'm gonna try and sit the fuck out of it because it has nothing to do with me, clearly. Because I'm hoping best for both sides. But it's just the real world wouldn't work. They're like, you're dark, like I just a bunch of different personal experiences. So I've never been against it, and even to this day, I'm not really like. I'm masculine. I'm even like, I'm not even like, yeah, I'm a man. I'm like, I'm grown. Yeah. Like, I don't even, and it's not anything like that where it's like, oh, I avoid that so that way I don't have to feel like I'd fit into it, define it, whatever. Like, I can fit into some shit and it's fine, but it's just, again, just how I've seen it. I've never had any issues no one having any labels on them because they don't want it. I get it. Like, there's a bunch of different stuff. It's like, especially coming from different places, you can't be fucking weird. And you're around these other, like, these people that you grew up with because they have this shit, but you're exposed to that, but you like the weird shit, you like the other cool shit, and it's just all this thing. And really, I think it was like, once I got to a certain point, you have all these worlds blending. You're like, oh, everyone's pretty much just trying to figure out where they fit into it. And once they do, for the most part, they mesh pretty well. It's like, oh yeah, this nerd's over there doing the nerd shit. They ain't bothering nobody. Cool, whatever. Like, oh yeah, that's the jocks over there just getting loud and rowdy with each other. They're getting rowdy with each other. Nobody else, because they know nobody else wants this shit. Like,
and I also think that was like, so our original concept of masculinity was like a father figure. I think then it was exactly what you said, the nerds and the jocks. Mm-hmm. The jocks were very masculine. The nerds were beta. Like
they were beta, like the whole alpha beta thing.
And it's the funniest because it's like some of the biggest nerds I know are like jacked fucking dudes.
Joe Manganiello or fucking Henry Cavill, like fucking... like that, like that's what I said a few podcasts or shit ago. There are dudes who watched The Matrix, the first one, got inspired and learned, and now probably black belt or have trained in some shit, or have gone off and done something, and now this shit's coming back. People just gonna be out there that they're just waiting. They're just waiting. They're just chilling because they're not out there like knowing what to do. But unfortunately, some people have like learned special skills or learn how to do hand to hand. Because it's like, hey, I get fucking pushed around a lot and I'm tired of it, so I'm gonna actually whoop your ass if I have to. And like that, people learn self-defense from now being like, I want to be comfortable being myself, but if I have to, because unfortunately the real world doesn't always work that way, now I can be like, put an end to that shit and I'm still gonna go play my D&D. It's
definitely like, I think I went a long time without ever really thinking about a lot of that stuff because you're just out living in the world, doing your thing.
Yeah.
And I remember like from multiple women who they'd be like, the first time I saw you do stand-up, I thought you were gay. And I had to like think about it because I'm like, I don't really think like I don't also like, what did I match my shoes to my belt? Thank you. I probably look nice.
If you got it purely off of looks, first of all, thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, thank you. God bless you.
I put no
wish
effort,
I looked like a gay man all the time.
The fact that I look like I put in effort for this makes me feel a little good. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But so that made me kind of examine that a little bit and be like, that's interesting. And I think it's just because the way I was performing and kind of like the things I was saying, they weren't like,
they weren't typical man shit. Yeah, they weren't typical man shit. Which is like one thing. And see, this is one thing that I've definitely been open about because now that I'm grown, I don't give a fuck. Say what you want, have your opinions, whatever. When I was younger, I never really liked all that shit. Like even with my cousins, where I learned a lot of that stuff from, they weren't really all super vulgar sharing shit. None of them were just like, yeah. So I was like, in the back of my, like, the most it'd be like, so we just in the back of my car, and it's just like, just smashing going at, but it's never like details of just like, yeah, I'm just hitting it, just going slow, and like I don't care. I don't want to hear all that. Like,
I've been around dudes like that. It's like the weirdest where it's like, this is how you interact.
You hear me. I cuss. I call people cunts when it's necessary. Whatever. That's like a vulgar where it's like, that's just like it just, if it had to be described as a person, it's definitely a fat pervy dude with like the tank top right above the belly button, and he has the tight, I'm gonna just say tight green shorts that don't like are right above his knees, and he's just sweaty, but he's just like rubbing his chest, and he's like, hey, Like that's what it's so creepy.
And well, because that's one of the toxic things, and that's one of the ways that masculinity used to be presented. That needs to be like,
but then that's how you get the excuse of saying you would casually rape somebody is just locker room conversation. No, it's not.
The locker room talk.
No, it's not. I've been in locker rooms, and I'll tell you this, and this is no offense to anyone. More often than not, sport locker rooms, even if it's just with fucking straight dudes, football, whatever. They're the gayest conversations of all time. You've been backstage for wrestling.
Yep.
Come on. We don't even have to. And it's not even, again, it's not gay in an offensive way.
Yeah.
It's not usually making fun. It's just, if you heard that, you're like, what are we at? People making, like, what are people trying to imitate what a gay club would be? Like,
listen, I've watched and I've also participated in shaving a man's back.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Shout out Royce Isaacs.
Shout out Royce Isaacs.
I think that's why I liked it too, because it's just like, hey, we have to make our bodies look good before we go out. And
if you keep obsessing over his body on the podcast, we might have to bleep out his name so we don't make him uncomfortable.
We're gonna have him back so we can just show pictures of his body.
No. I'm not editing that in there. You're gonna have to do that episode.
I'm fine with that, but I think that's another thing too. Like, I just remember like the most uncomfortable I've ever been as a straight white dude. So it's pretty hard. Yeah. But it's when dudes will like talk about sexual, like, yeah. And I'm just like, what is that for? Am I supposed to high five you?
Dude,
I give you $1 here. You had sex. Congratulations.
I have been 100 times more comfortable sitting with an ex through her pap smear and getting her IUD put in than I have ever been sitting through those gross ass conversations. Like, first of all, I ain't gonna tell you all this business, so I don't want to hear that shit from you. It's just, and listen, to each their own. To people who like to overshare, fine. Shout out to homeboy in high school who was like, "Hey, yo, man, like, dude, I was a little cool with, but I was like, cool." Walked up, it was just like, "Hey, yo, guess what? I just got done doing." It just showed me him having sex on his phone with some girl. He was just like, "Yeah, this just happened." Like, blah blah blah. Why are you showing me this? Yeah. Why are you harassing me with this? I don't care. If it does not involve me personally, I don't care. Especially when it comes to sex. Not my business.
I think it's important now to draw a distinction because I will tell you if it's something funny.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just talked about having sex on stage, but it was
it's not in a vulgar way, funny, though. It's done creatively. It's done tastefully, as they would say.
So I feel like it's fine to be like, God, like the
these one girl who head. I'm done with these sunglasses. I can't do it.
That's fine. Listen, podcast viewers or podcast listeners, he just took his sunglasses off. My sunglasses are still on.
So it's just, I can't do it.
Like, there was a woman who called me the derogatory term for a homosexual man that starts with an F while we were making love. That's a weird thing. I was not bragging about that. It scared me.
No. And every time I would hear it, the audience would laugh, but it was always like an unsure laugh, like, is that okay?
Yeah. But if you're just like I remember I started dating a person.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was like, "Oh yeah, I fucked her once." And I was just like,
dude.
But I had to just be like,
yeah.
Cool.
Like, I don't. And see,
here's
I think
a trophy. Here's a trophy. You're the big man.
Unfortunately, part of me thinks that's like that masculine kind of intimidation shit where it's just like, I've already been there and I've already hit that. So just so you know.
And the root of it's insecurity.
What the fuck I said? I said? Yo,
the root of all this toxic masculinity and this masculine is like, you're so insecure in yourself, your body. Maybe your dad put some weird stuff on you by yelling at you and forcing you to be you're the big man. Yeah. And it's like just insecure. And I've been insecure a lot in my life.
Oh yeah. It's happened.
And
it's happened when you're unsure of shit.
And there were times where I might have said something shitty about a person and a friend would be like, "Hey man, that's not cool." And then you step back and you're like, "Oh, I'm just being insecure."
Yeah.
Like the way I'm feeling right now, I'm not feeling good. So I'm like talking shit or doing this thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to like step back a lot and to also realize, how do we make these boys secure?
You know what? It's funny. So that perfectly segues right into a story I was going to share.
Okay.
I kind of knew I was going to be a little different, and this isn't I'm like the shit type shit. I'm pretty cool. When I was, I don't know, 12, 13, and I was hanging out with my cousin, and we went to go hang out with like this girl that I knew and her sister or whatever. And she was just, we were talking or something, and I don't know why the fuck it came up, but then it was just like, oh yeah, something about, again, just somebody just like, here, I'm gonna just try and embarrass you in front of somebody if they would like be interested in me. And she just told me in front, like just in front of them, just like, yeah, you'd probably be more attractive if you lost weight. And without missing a beat, I just kind of shrugged and I was like, all right. And just left. And we were walking back with my cousin. And I was like, damn, that's pretty fucked up. I was like, whatever, dude. Like, I don't care. I always had that where I was just like, whatever. I don't necessarily give a shit. Cool. I don't care. And it's funny because I kind of had that for a long time where it was self-assurance, where it's like, well, I know I can only get better from here. So right now, this is just kind of how I am. But fuck it. And my confidence grew because I looked around at all the people that liked me and all the people that I naturally gravitated towards. And I was like, oh, you guys are pretty fucking cool. You all think I'm cool. Like, you like to hang out with me. Okay. Like, like that helped where it's just like, okay, like I'm doing the right things where I'm being like the kind of people I like to be around and just naturally gravitating towards because I'm feeling better about myself because I'm being who I am. Like, I'm not putting on a facade or anything like that. Like, I'm not pretending or trying to be any. It's just naturally, genuinely who I am. And again, it just also comes from having to sit alone with yourself. Like, you have to be good with yourself to get rid of those things. Because if you, in all seriousness, not even clowning, like if you're leaving a relationship and you are now worrying about what she's doing after the relationship is over, that's an insecurity. I'm sorry. You're not checking up on someone who cares, because if they were calling, bugging you, trying to trip out, find out what you were doing, you'd be like, yo, get off me. We're not even together no more, da, 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 da. So that's not anything else when now someone else is doing it and you're always up in. It's an insecurity. Like, you can check up on them without, there's a difference between checking up out of concern and then just being like, no, like it's over, but fuck all that.
So it's like the traditional male-female roles, the traditional like marriage roles, the traditional like, here's what a man is, this is masculinity, are so outdated. Oh, it's just an outdated way of thinking, and it's like silly. Yeah. And also the people, it seems the people who force themselves into that are miserable
because they don't know how to. It's unfortunate they don't know how to think for themselves. It's difficult for them, and because that's always what they've been taught, and it's a habit. It is a habit. If you seriously just approach where it's like everything you're taught, that's just what you're going to take in, and you just tunnel vision that. I need to stop. You just tunnel vision that. That's all you're going to take in. You're going to become so stubborn that just becomes a habit. Then you're going to be like, well, why am I grumpy? Why am I unhappy? And you would have put yourself in a position where you are now unable to think outside of that because you're so used to just cutting that off. You're like, well, this is what I've been told, so this is what I have to do. And it doesn't work for everyone. Like, a lot of everything, gender, what the terms of masculinity are, social structure, all of this have been just thrown in a box and just jumbled up. And people who can't make up their own minds for themselves personally are having issue with that. So they think their values are being attacked. What you don't understand is you can say, hey, all of that can go evolve. Cool. I'm still like this because that doesn't affect anything I'm doing. Hey, just because gay people could like when they were able to get married, that doesn't mean now every straight person has to go and reapply to get married or it's not valid. Like, no one made you go and do that. Sorry, Obama came. Nobody had white slaves. Slavery did not come back. They did not. And there were 8 years. There were 8 years. And for 8 years, everyone was like, oh, he's just trying to get fucking slavery back. I swear, he's just trying to get fucking slavery back. Dude, he can't even pass bills. What makes you think he's just radically going to just turn around slavery? Like, come on. Sorry,
so it's like
I went on a tangent.
the root of so many problems are insecurity, and it's like,
and a need for recognition, which also comes from insecurity. It's like, recognize, look at me for what I'm doing. So it's just different inspirations for insecurity.
There's also like another thing that trips me out is when someone you don't interact with a lot presents you with like this version of yourself.
They're like, you know what? From the few interactions I've had with you, let me tell you something about your. First of all, you see what I choose to let you see on the limited time you see me. Because trust me, it's not all fucking sunshine and rainbows under here. There's some thoughts in here you'd be like, oh man, they should make a season of Hannibal on him. But
it's so strange and interesting, but also like kind of a similar thing
it's
where it's
projecting.
like
It's projecting.
You're putting me in a box and
It's
you're projecting all these weird things.
Yeah, because you think you need to fit into these terms, so you feel like you have to define me, which is like the issue with having shit where it's just already like if you can't. Like, I hate first dates when you go to just a movie and then that's it. How did you talk and get to know this person? I know we may like the same movie or not. I don't know if you really had a good time. Or as opposed to if you can converse with somebody and then you actually get a feel for them. You get to know them. Like, you're not just trying to manipulate conversation around to, will she touch my dick tonight or not? When you're actually trying to get to know this person. Like, there's difference. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Well, there's a huge difference. Yeah. It's so like, and I feel like that's where... like masculinity, where we were talking about how there's people be like, be a man, you gotta man up, you gotta nut up and all this stuff, and it's like that's just more outdated terminology. But I do like it when a lady will tell someone to suck their dick. That's the funniest thing in the world.
It's fantastic.
That'll make me laugh every single time.
It's great.
I love it.
It's great when they're just like, you know what, suck my dick.
And it's like so
fucking great.
Basically the best approach, because we're not going to speak on femininity. That's not our place.
We at least, again, we're not experts, but I know what not to speak on. No.
And also, like, I think the new like pan, like all these new ideas, these like non-gender specific, agender, I think all these things are interesting. It's scary to old people because old people are scared of change.
Oh yeah, everyone knows that.
And I feel like,
I mean, fuck, people who grew up in the 90s are scared of change because they get mad every time a remake of some shit happens. I grew up in
that. And I feel like our generation's very open about a lot of things. We're like, all right,
because
that's cool.
We've
I support
been
that.
through so much. Yo, how much has changed from the time you were born to now?
Yeah.
How much? Because I know kids who grew up who are so adept with internet. They grew up after dial tone. Like they've only known high speed internet. They've never known dial tone, and they are masters of it.
We also have to be mindful of this.
Yeah,
there's definitely times where I'll hear like a new popular song. I'll see something on TV, something, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah,
this is bullshit.
Yeah,
but then I have to be like, hold on,
it's not for me.
This is not for me.
It's not for me.
I'm a 40-year-old man.
That's what I say about music. I don't care if Drake is in my age range. He don't make music for me.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's just the same with everything. It's just not for me. Country music, not for me. Not for me.
And I feel like this would eliminate a lot.
Not for me.
Like we'll take full responsibility for all men on the internet right now. I'm going to. All of them.
Wait.
No, I'm taking full response, because here's the thing is, we as men, we need to teach other men.
Yeah.
That simple thing.
You gotta be like, yo, dude,
this isn't for me.
Hey, it's perfectly acceptable to treat. I see it, and I do see it now, which it's great because a lot of people have manners. Like, one of the unfortunate side effects of fathers being taken away from their kids is when they were raised by their mothers. Now they see what the shit they have to go through. So that's also helped trickle down to kill off that, which still unfortunate. That shit shouldn't happen. Y'all shouldn't be breaking up families just because you want to be racist about some bullshit. Reagan, fuck you. But that really gave now these men this understanding of it now, and it's just, you have people who like me, it's just like, I can make a separation between women in my family and women, personally. However, I know that women are treated a certain way. So even if it's just my mother or my sister, if I wouldn't want someone else treating them in a certain way, I'm certainly not going to treat this woman or any other woman I'm around a certain way, which means if I don't want my mom or sister to be harassed, sexually harassed, whatever harassed, I'm not doing that to other women either.
Because that's kind of the thing, is it starts like when I said something shitty, one of my dude friends was like, hey man, that's not cool.
Yo, that's not cool. And it's fine to check people, like, just because you're like, hey, that's not cool, that doesn't mean I instantly stop fucking with it. It's a moment to educate, like, hey, like, especially now when people are constantly trying to unlearn things, we have to be understanding. It's just like, where you may have come from may be different. There is a lot of issues that certain people would have with people speaking a certain way, but if you don't understand where they come from, to them that's normal. Like, I met someone, I was at a friend's house for a birthday party, and I was hanging out. We met the neighbor and everything. They were cool. We were talking, and he's from Compton. And when we were talking to him, he's like, "You went to school with white people?" Like, yo, I didn't see a white person until I moved out here. He was like bugged out. He's like, that trips me out that y'all went to school with white people. And he was only 10, 12 years older than us. So it's just like the differences. Like, shit changes. So someone from like that way, he doesn't fucking, white people doing weird shit to him is going to bug him the fuck out because he's not used to it. He hasn't seen it like I have, where it's just like, these white people are crazy. Now it's just like, these white people are fucking crazy.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, I know people who have never been around a gay person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of
not
understanding
everyone is
that.
equipped to understand something differently so quickly. Now, there's a difference
but also
between
get on the internet and find out about all the new shit.
That's
happening.
The thing too.
You can easily research.
At this
anything.
point in time, it's just willful ignorance. It is. If you're older and you're gonna stay and you know you're gonna stay in your little bubble till you die and you're not putting hate out there, cool, whatever. Have your look. I can't tell you how to live. Humans definitely aren't perfect. We can't tell each other how to play this game. Live in your weird cabin
in the woods and just go for it.
Yo, no one knows what life is. So fuck it. I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life. However, I still just think if you're gonna have hate, don't put that shit out there. Just please let that shit die off with you, because it's like you're not gonna be here anymore. So why make the world shittier?
So I'll do this. Our tips from Dude Sweet for being a good if you're a masculine leaning person.
Yeah.
If you're not, but you identify as a dude, number one, when you're on the internet and you see something that upsets you, don't say anything. You don't have to.
Yeah. That's
just a good tip for most people.
I approach it the same way.
For my people, for straight white men, you don't have to comment on anything. In fact, I think white men should be charged money to comment on things on the internet. There should be like a little thing. Yeah. This is a very controversial app I'm working on, but where you're charged to comment if you're a man. But,
white entitlement detected. Going off in your phone. But shit.
It's also like, the most important thing is you have to realize not everything's for you.
Yeah.
There's new shit. It's going to be confusing. Yep. Like I try to expose myself to newer, more interesting things.
You have to change.
And there's times where I'm like, nope, I don't get this. I don't get this Tekashi 6ix9ine shit at all. This is garbage. I don't get it. But I'm also, there's other levels to that one. But like, there was a movie called Skate Kitchen that then was made into an HBO show. Called Betty. I watch it, and it's about teenage girls that live in New York and skate, and they're having all these crazy adventures, and there's like lots of talk on gender, lots of talk on sexuality, all these things. I think it's so good, but I'm also like, this wasn't made for me at all.
No.
They weren't like,
at all.
We should make this for a 40-year-old dude that lives in the middle of the country. No.
No, not at all.
I love it. I love it because it's like, that's what I get to look into other worlds, understand them, and then kind of like, now I'm worried I'm going to go out and there's going to be a bunch of skate teens that'll make fun of me.
See,
and I'll be like, I watch Betty, don't make fun of me. And they'll be like, all right.
That's the shit that as a person inspires me, especially fuels me as an artist to just be originally creative, because hey, there's a lot of stuff I liked that people did not like.
Yeah.
And I still liked it because I was like, cool. And now the way I approach it is, why should I be afraid to make something cool, different, and unique? Or at least to me, I'm going to make the shit that I like, because chances are, even if not a lot of other people like it, there's stuff that we're gonna like. Like, there's a lot of people like, why are you up at like 2:00 in the morning watching this show where they're watching terrible B-rated movies and they're doing commentary over it with, what is that, a robot? Is that two robots and a human? It's like, oh, it's Mystery Science, and like, not everyone liked that shit, but it was just different for me. It was funny, like, because I like the commentary of it. Like, I like reactions for different reasons than like most people do. I'll listen to reactions because I like to see a hip-hop music producer fucking rock out to some heavy metal shit, just be like, this is bad. Like, that's great to me, because for so long it's been trying to just put one thing can't exist, or like you can't mix the thing. No, it can just all be different. It can just all be different.
It's like, so tying everything back to the beginning of the conversation, it's like me feeling like I need to add this hormone to my body, because there's a lot of ads, there's a lot of that where it's like for older dudes where it's like, you gotta feel like you're 20 again, and it's like, I felt like shit when I was in my 20s. I felt like a psychopath. I felt like crap. garbage, just angry, just fucking
but see,
so
then
depressed.
Also, that's the thing. That's what they market. It's not what it could do health-wise for you. Because, for a dude, having like a higher testosterone level, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, you're not powerlifting or anything. But having it helps with metabolism. It helps with how your body recovers. It helps your mood. Like, everyone thinks higher testosterone in a guy just makes him automatically aggressive. Like, no. Like, sometimes if you have low testosterone, you could be just like always angry because you're not balanced out right. It's like having right levels for how you are. And again, it goes to what we've always preached, which also helps mental health. Your physical health, how you diet, how you eat, how you treat your body, like that all plays a part into it too. Like, your body can develop natural testosterone. Some people need boosters, especially as you get older. Some men don't have that issue. Some do. It's all a chemical thing. It's all different. Like, not every person.
So this is the perfect way to end that discussion. What just popped in my head. Here we go. So don't listen to Instagram ads. Talk to a doctor. That's so much of my life is like, I should have just talked to a doctor.
Oh man, this is great. That's how we just sum up the whole podcast. Like, you should have just talked to a doctor, but yet we rambled off.
I feel like that was like a good representation of the
if
world.
It's for medical issues, consult a doctor. If it's for anything with how you communicate with people, how you interact with people, all that other stuff, there's therapy for that. It helps. Go see a therapist. Maybe it's just you are just not understanding how to adjust to the level to communicate with people in a certain way. Yeah. Which, hey, if you're from a certain way, it's fine. Like,
for me, I feel like there's always stuff that I assume. Like, I'm like, oh, I have low testosterone. There's no way. But some of the stuff they presented me, like, there's like I can't remember if it's a hormone off the top of my head because I don't have the thing present. But there's a thing that I probably can't have kids because this certain thing is really low. And so if you want to have kids, you have to, I wish I knew what it was, but there was interesting shit. And then like the liver
like
stuff.
the certain count and shit. Yeah. Cause that affects.
Cause it wasn't my sperm count. I haven't jizzed in anything yet. I will. I'll jizz in an envelope and send it to somebody if it's for science. You can't put it in an
envelope, Ian. You have to put it in the bottle and then put it in a package.
I just put it in like an old water bottle.
No, because now the inside of the envelope is just as sticky as the little seal up part of it. So they're like, what did they do? Just email glue? Oh my God.
But it's like, being curious about that kind of stuff is good, but it's like, because there was like the liver stuff. Then when I talked to the doctor, it was clear that this company was like, just sell as much testosterone as he can.
Oh, obviously.
Because he flew by the liver stuff, and I was like, wait, let's talk about that.
So,
that's interesting.
What that liver shit say?
So now I'm taking folic acid.
Oh God.
That was a supplement that's good for that liver issue. Yeah. So you do learn some interesting shit.
You do. You just have to just with everything, do your research. We have the ability to. If you have a smartphone, you can easily
and it's
Google.
Good to not assume things about your body.
Yeah.
Because none of us are. Yeah. Yeah. I about said none of us are experts. If you're a doctor listening to this, you're an expert.
You're an expert. Obviously, it's implied that if you are an actual expert at what you're saying, yes, we're not obviously talking to you.
Yeah. But that's, bottom line is, we all just want to be as horny as possible.
Yeah.
But listen, I feel like we did a good job with this.
Did we do a good job on masculinity, or did I just rant?
I feel like the point of the podcast is we just present a lot of ideas.
Gotcha.
That's what it's all about. There's no real good information.
I always want to make sure. I always want to make sure it's not just like.
But someone might listen to this and be like, you know what? Maybe teenage music is not made for me, and that's good.
It's not my thing.
So let's pivot to what are you into right now? What stuff you're into?
Man, I still writing. Starting to gather some stuff for some sound producing, and through that I was bouncing through playing Doom. So the Doom music really is dope during the whole game. So like that really got me inspired, just because it's a different sound, but it's a sound I've always kind of liked when they do it. Like fucking why I like Batman Beyond's theme song when that shit came on, because fucking I don't know if it was actually Tom Morello, but that Tom Morello sound of that like that certain kind of but it's just different because I like the way when things sound different but they still have that groove, they still have that melody, and especially if it's something that just goes hard. Fuck. Then that's what
there you go.
That's what I want. So that just kind of listening now, sharpening more of my audio skills with stuff so that way I can try and produce this best that I can. Other than that, man, that's really just that. Just start working on this podcast shit. You know what I'm saying? Try to get this shit going. So
hell yeah.
And what about you, sir? What have you been into?
There's a band called Turnstile that just put out a new album.
Turnstile, okay. What genre?
And so they're a hardcore band.
All right.
But the things they're doing are so interesting because it's like not typical. Like there's production, there's almost like hip hop influences. There's like some 311 influences, if we're being honest.
Let's go.
But they just put out a new album, so look up Trash Talk, or not Trash Talk. Trash Talk's also a good hardcore band that does similar things. But Turnstile, they have a new album. Also listen to Trash Talk. Trash Talk did a whole album with Kenny Beats. It rules. It's so good. Yeah, that's who did the stuff with Zach Fox.
Oh man.
But I've just been really into music lately. I'm still working on some other projects, but we made a whole podcast about motivation.
Yeah.
I've referenced it in the previous episode, and I'm referencing in this. I'm having a hell of a time with motivation, but I feel like I'm starting to get
it's a real thing. We gotta try though.
In tune. Like it's very much, I feel like, and this is not diagnosed by anyone, I feel like I have a little bit of manic depression because I'll have these low swings and then I'll have like a swing where I'm like, let's go, let's fucking do it, let's make all this stuff, and then like I get going and then it's like
yeah, no, I feel you. It sucks.
But yeah, dude. But besides that, Reservation Dogs is the best fucking show ever made.
I need to watch that.
I referenced it before it came out, but yeah, check out Reservation Dogs. I think it's the shit and so good. And I'm gonna go see Shang-Chi tonight.
Yeah,
so
I hear
I'm
it's
excited.
Good. I hear it's really good.
But yeah, that's about it.
To that, give us all the superheroes that ain't white. No offense to white people, but I want to see something other than it.
Representation matters, y'all.
It does. Representation is great. I love it.
But
let's do it.
I think we're gonna pivot into more. Or we're gonna have topics and stuff.
Yeah,
we're gonna have guests again.
Yeah, a little more topical.
The pandemic funk's over. I think we can finally open up, and we're opening up the doors.
I still ain't going nowhere, but I mean,
we're opening up the doors of our minds and letting other people in.
Opening up the third eye and embracing others, and like join us.
Please. Yeah. So thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Shout out project-nerd.com, our friends at Project Nerd.
For all your nerdly needs, check it out. Many other podcasts, art galleries of conventions or cosplay, all this other stuff. People are doing a lot of submitting and stuff, so you can go read articles, check out all this cool stuff. Plenty there, really. If you guys are bored and looking for new shit, they got plenty of content there. Because I know people are going through some of their old stuff, or some things are transitioning, or as we've talked about before, every fucking podcast has ads. So if you want to find something else, go there. Try it. Give it a shot.
Hell yeah. Dudesweetcast.com, IanDouglasTerry.com. That's about it for me.
Blaxican Thunder on PlayStation or Xbox.
Ooh, there
or
he is.
Steam as well.
Get that steamy Game Boy going.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right when you say it that way.
Come play some games.
What am I seducing me? Yeah. It's game time with Daddy Blaxican Thunder. Come play some games with Daddy.
So thank you for listening.
Hell yeah.
Have yourself a Dude Sweet Saturday, even though this is not going to be.
It's not even.
Mentally, Saturdays every day. We never know how to
end this. It just has to just start ending abruptly. Anyway, it ends. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet.
T311.
Too sweet, dude sweet. Suck it.